A huge debate was supposed to happen at the prestigious Oxford Union, a showdown between India and Pakistan. The topic? This house believes that India's response to Pakistan is a populist strategy, sold as security policy. Sounds intense, right? Well, it never happened. And what unfolded instead was a masterclass in chaos, accusations, and international drama. Let us break down exactly what went wrong and who is to blame for this spectacular failure. It all started with a simple announcement, but the trouble began almost immediately. The Indian side was initially said to be represented by some very heavy hitters. Former Army Chief General M.M. Naravane and politician Dr. Subramanian Swamy. However, just 2 days before the debate, they both had to pull out due to unavoidable commitments. This left a huge void. Stepping in at the last minute was Debacle, a prominent Indian lawyer, who scrambled to assemble a new team from within the UK, bringing on board Manu Kajuria and Pandit Satish K. Sharma. Now, according to Debacle, the entire setup felt a bit shaky from the get-go. He pointed out on social media that key positions at the Oxford Union were held by Pakistani nationals. The president, Musa Harij, is reportedly the son of Pakistan's Minister of Defense Production, and the treasurer was also a Pakistani national. This isn't to say they couldn't be impartial, but it definitely added a layer of complexity to an already tense situation. The day of the debate, November 27th, is when things truly went off the rails. Just hours before they were scheduled to speak, at 3:13 p.m., Debacle says he received a call. The message was clear. The Pakistani delegation, which included high-profile figures like former Foreign Minister Haina Rabbani Kar and Defense Minister Kawaya Mohammed Asif, had not yet landed in London. Naturally, hearing this, the Indian team, who were on their way, decided to turn back. Why travel all the way to Oxford for a debate with no opponents? It seemed like a straightforward, albeit disappointing, cancellation. But here's where the story takes a wild turn. A little while later, Debacle claims he received new information. The Pakistani delegation hadn't missed their flight at all. In fact, they had already landed and were reportedly checked into a hotel right there in Oxford. As you can imagine, this changed everything. What first looked like a logistical failure now seemed like something else entirely. Debacle didn't hold back. He went public with a blistering account, accusing the Pakistani side of a deliberate gambit. He described it as them deserting the battlefield even before the battle begins. His take was that they simply lacked the courage to face a live, unscripted debate on India's security policies. He was furious not just at the Pakistani team, but also at the Oxford Union's leadership. He felt they had allowed their prestigious institution to be dragged in the muck and used as a mouthpiece for what he saw as a Pakistani PR stunt. He basically accused them of allowing the union's reputation to be tarnished by facilitating this no-show. Of course, that's just one side of the story. The Pakistan High Commission in London released a completely different version of events. Their statement painted a picture of an Indian side that got cold feet. They claimed that the original, high-profile Indian speakers General Naravane and Dr. Swamy had withdrawn, and then the replacement team followed suit at the last minute. They framed this as India being handed a walkover. According to them, The Indian side simply wasn't confident enough to defend its policies in what they called a neutral and intellectually rigorous debate. They essentially said India ran away from the argument. So now you have two completely contradictory narratives. India says Pakistan played a dirty trick to avoid the debate. Pakistan says India withdrew because they were scared. Who are you supposed to believe? The controversy quickly spilled over onto social media, with prominent figures from both sides weighing in. Indian lawmaker Priyanka Chaturvedi, for instance, took a sharp dig at Pakistan. She tweeted, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Pakistan was crying foul again and had once more proven to be liars. She added that she never expected anything better from them in the first place. Her post echoed the sentiment of many Indians online who felt that this was a calculated move by Pakistan to avoid public scrutiny. So let's try to piece this together. We have the Indian team, led by a last-minute replacement, ready to go. They are told the other side isn't even in the country, so they turn back. Then they find out the other side was in Oxford all along. Meanwhile, the Pakistani side and their High Commission are putting out statements saying the Indian side just didn't show up, implying a lack of courage. And caught in the middle is the Oxford Union, one of the world's most famous debating societies, now facing accusations of mismanagement and bias. Debacle's main criticism of the union was that they allowed themselves to be played by accepting the Pakistani delegation's version of events without, in his view, proper verification. They amplified a narrative that he believes is completely false. He felt the union should have been more transparent and should have held the Pakistani side accountable for their apparent no-show, rather than letting them claim a victory by default. This whole episode raises some serious questions. Was this a deliberate Pakistani gambit as Debacle alleges? Did they get to Oxford, see who their opponents were, and decide they didn't want to debate a sharp lawyer like Debacle and his team? Or was it a massive, embarrassing logistical failure on the part of the Oxford Union, with miscommunications flying everywhere? Or could the Pakistani High Commission's version be true? Did the Indian side, after the original speakers pulled out, lose its nerve? Given the evidence presented by Debacle, the specific call time, the subsequent confirmation of the Pakistani team's presence in Oxford, his version seems incredibly detailed. The claim that they were told the Pakistani delegation hadn't landed is a very specific piece of information. If true, it completely justifies the Indian team's decision to not proceed to Oxford. If that information was false, then the question becomes, who gave them that false information and why? Was it the Oxford Union itself? If so, their incompetence is staggering. Or was it a deliberate piece of misinformation fed to them? Ultimately, the real loser here might be the Oxford Union itself. For an institution that prides itself on facilitating robust and honest intellectual exchange, this incident is a major black eye. It devolved from a high-stakes international debate into a public slinging match fought over social media. Instead of a battle of ideas, we got a battle of press releases and angry tweets. It's a shame, because a genuine debate on this topic would have been fascinating. India's security policy towards Pakistan is a complex issue with strong opinions on both sides. An open discussion in a neutral venue like Oxford could have been incredibly insightful. Instead, We got a farce. Both sides are now more entrenched in their positions, and the platform that was supposed to foster dialogue ended up creating more division. So, what do you think? Was this a clever, if cowardly, move by Pakistan to avoid a tough debate? Or did the Indian side back out, giving Pakistan an easy propaganda win? Or is the Oxford Union the real culprit here for failing to manage one of the most high-profile events on its calendar? This story is a perfect example of how geopolitical tensions can play out in the most unexpected arenas, turning an intellectual exercise into a diplomatic disaster. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated on stories like this, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.